Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagan Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adoration to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha in Upashama Prakarana, Section 76. Crossing over the ocean of the world process. This is very advanced stage. You are being led to understand the goal, the ultimate climax. And that's very important. That's what all the Hindu scriptures, the very early stage, they give the highest. In the Gita, very second chapter, you have Sthita Prajna Lakshanas. How does an enlightened person, how does he sit, how does he walk? And that's the ultimate goal. The goal has to be kept in view. And on the basis of the goal, let your soul figure out how to reach the goal. Just as different dream creations appear and disappear at short intervals in the mind of a person who is sleeping at night, in the same manner, various conditions and circumstances in the world appear and disappear during the sleep of ignorance. For a sage who is awake, all these become illusory. First, your attention is directed to dream. How during one sleep time, during one night, some people are very adventurous, they go through many dreams. And sometimes a dream can bring about an illusion of dream within a dream. In your dream, you are seated on the dining table, talking to your friends. And then you start telling your dream. And others add to their dream. They bring their dreams. What happens to your dream? And therefore, mind has to understand all you are experiencing in the world is not reality, is illusion. But whatever you are experiencing, it has three aspects. The subject, seer, seen and sight, called Triputi, triad. In your dream, the dream subject is a seer. But the dream subject doesn't really exist, but doesn't matter. Dream world is not real either. The subject that is not real lives through a world that is not real and experiences lots of thrill and lots of despair which again is not real. The real is waking up from all the three and to realizing that each stage is you. You were the subject in your dream. You were the world of your dream. The world may contain lots of things, from a little spider to the big lion. You were everything. You were the spider, you were the mosquito, you were the virus. As well as you were the mountains, you were the stars. And all your experiences and thrill and despairs, all was you. The end result, aham. Ahame vedam sarvam. I am all this. But intellectually you grasp it. And in practical world, you allow your mind not to become too gripped by the world around you. The world around you is a practical reality. Continue to handle practical reality. But the better you handle, better is your possibility to go beyond the world and allow that state to develop in daily life. Degrees of serenity in your mind. In those serene moments, turn your attention to real awakening. Who am I? Say, wow. Devour the world of illusion. And assert, I'm Satchidananda. I'm absolute existence, absolute consciousness, absolute bliss. I am that am I. Quickly said, but that's where the life's movement is. And you go through all challenges to ultimately realize that state. That's your goal. So it is called, the ordinary dream is your dream. But the world experience is called Virga Sapana, long dream. And that long dream continues through your cycles of birth and death. When the mind neither strives for pleasure nor for removing pain, when it is no longer influenced by the concepts of good and evil, it melts into Brahman, even like a glacier melting into the sea. These are profound statements. Literally, if you follow, you will fail. Implying the mind neither strives for pleasure nor for pain. In practical life, you are always striving for happy conditions and for removing pain. That's called purushartha, self-effort. Your practical reality is never disturbed. But while the practical reality goes on, if you are handling practical reality with more skill, your mind will not be trapped. You will be able to relax your mind and move away from the world. And that state where you turn away from the world, that state remains unaffected by whether you gain or whether you lose, whether you encounter pleasure or you encounter pain. That advanced state in you remains constant because you are not dependent upon happenings of the world. The sky is not dependent upon the happenings of the clouds. Clouds will come, go, and create so many formations, but not a tinge enters the sky. It's again simile to understand. All things go on when you sleep. All things move away from you. Not a tinge stays there when you are in deep sleep. And that's happening day by day. Now therefore understand that the world you are experiencing, that you must face, follow your practical reality, but don't be trapped by it. The real source behind your world. Who is the doer? Who is the seer? Who is the knower? The highest answer is the absolute self, Brahman. The real I am is like the sun. Unreal I am is like reflected suns in the jars of water. Every reflected sun has a lot of challenges to face. But no matter how many challenges you face, a reflected sun is never a separate reality. It is the sun. So that type of understanding enters deep within your heart. That is the movement towards enlightenment. That understanding never shakes. Your practical body will shake. You will go into it on a chair and may fall down. But whether you are a saint or not, practical reality will continue. But your inner, where you are rooted, where you are, that I am remains unshaken. Give you a very ordinary illustration. Look at your computers. When you are involved in going through so many, a world as it were opens up through your computer. But while all the world you are experiencing, computer is just quiet. That quiet computer you are. Through the play of mind, all these, your mind brings out your Google movement. All things go on. So therefore, at deeper level, you are not striving, when will I be happy? When will I gain power? When will I do this? That type of yearning is not there in the deep level. When you go to sleep, you are not yearning. All that didn't mean anything at all. You are always what you are. So that essential nature is ever quiet. And you have distanced yourself from your own essential nature through a conditioned mind. Just like you are sleeping on the bed, calm and relaxed. But you distance yourself from the relaxed state, led by your own conditioned mind, and go through big turmoil. When that jnana drishti, the vision of wisdom, unfolds, it's like rays passing through the cloud of your mind. And mind ultimately goes through 3 stages. manonash. First stage, mind goes on working, but your heart doesn't give any reality to the functions of your mind. At heart level, you are just free. Tree goes on swaying, but the root level, the tree is enjoying all this swing. The vasana akshaya, the subtle impressions, subtle desires that arise out of impressions of the subconscious. Those impressions undergo a tremendous change. And ultimately, the veil of ignorance moves away. And there is a complete revelation. I am that. Aham Brahma. But while subjectively you have a complete revelation, in your practical life, you will continue to operate through your body and mind, led by the karma of this present personality. You have prarabdha karma, which has already created the body. And body will go on following the laws of prarabdha, but it will not create. Now, it's a enlightened state. Prarabdha karma will continue to exhaust itself, but it will not generate new karmas. And that's a big difference. Just as oil cannot be extracted from burnt up sesame seeds, in the same way, illusion does not arise from those karmas that are burnt up by the fire of wisdom. These impressions of your unconscious, called samskaras, those samskaras continue to feed your worldly existence. But in the case of a sage, as enlightenment has flushed the unconscious, the samskaras are there, but they are all burnt up. You can watch a show and go on eating popcorn, and it was the old style, and go on throwing the popcorns. What you eat is quite good, it gives you nutrition. What you throw off will not germinate. So, that's like birth. This is called Dagdha Bija state. The samskaras are giving you practical reality, practical basis, but they are not creating new karmas. But if you are not enlightened, that's a totally different matter. Ever contented within the self, santosh, tripti. Always remember 4 points, 4 gatekeepers. Shama, serenity. These are the highlights that during the day, any time when your mind is quiet, allow your attention with a deep interest, just like a greedy person looks for diamond, where it is here hiding. So look for the diamond of serenity. The Shama. Santosh. And next gatekeeper, your Santosh. In your heart, do not be swayed by the emotion of discontent. That why did God give me so little while He has given so many people so many big things? Why am I born through a certain parents that gave a lot of trouble from the very beginning? Why was I not born through parents that were very powerful, rich, and so forth? I'm just joking, but it's not really a joke. Human mind goes on collecting so many thoughts about the parents and allowing the mind to develop a sense of negativity. Why was I given a childhood like that? And who was responsible for making my childhood miserable? Why did he do that? And when you talk with your friends, say, you see me like that, but it's not me, it's a childhood. That's the way I was treated. This type of cluttering of things in your mind is brought about by discontent. The answer is, you have all the resources needed for your evolution. And if you need more, strive and you will get them. So you don't have to keep your mind with all those memories of those people who have damaged your mind, damaged your ability, and memories of so many things. You don't have to clutter that. Santosh brings a breeze of relaxation. Mind is absolutely relaxed. So Shama, Santosh, Satsang, good association, allowing your mind to always, the world gives you all opportunities. Then why don't you allow your mind to go into that opportunity where mind feels thrilled, enriched? Instead of mind feels more and more envenomed, miserable. So that whole process, satsanga movement. And vichar, opening the mind to that subtle investigation. Who am I? Ultimately, that's what we're looking for. Through all the world, we're looking for what? We're looking for Sat Chit Ananda, to have eternal existence. You have absolute knowledge, absolute joy. That's what you're looking for. And where do you find it? In your essential nature, I am. Ever contented within the self, ever immersed in the bliss of the self. A sage perceives the experiences of dream and waking as clouds of illusion drifting in the sky of consciousness. Therefore, he enjoys the boundless peace of mystic sleep, wherein the three states of consciousness are negated and transcended. Sleep illustration is given, but understand the normal sleep is leading yourself to your causal body. But causal body has ignorance. You don't go beyond ignorance. You come to the causal state, dive into the reality, but in a plastic bag. Plastic bag. You are enclosed in a plastic bag. So you dive, and for a while it seems wonderful. But when you come out, you are as limited as before. In the state of enlightenment, you don't have to dive. It is a sleepless sleep. Your awakening itself becomes the highest sleep. You are awakened to your nature, absolute. In that absolute, there is no activity. It's absolute peace. Section 78. The methods of destroying the Chitta. Now Sage Vasishtha gives attention to what are the methods people should adopt to reach that state of enlightenment. Sage Vasishtha said, "O Rama, this world process is like the illusory circle created by the whirling of a firebrand." Now, just one old-time simile. In recent time, you don't have to use the old time. Simile is, watch the cinema show, how the projections are creating the illusion. Frame after frame, frames are being projected on the screen. And frames are all broken. But to human eyes, this seems all a continuous movement. Your experience is vritti after vritti. Every thought wave creates one perception. Another wave creates another perception. The wave after wave moves like a whirlpool. In between the two waves, you are beyond. But it is so subtle that you cannot figure out through your own mind. When you figure out it, you are simply generating wave after wave, the same illusion. Therefore, a deeper spiritual practice must allow your mind to suspend the thought movement, vritti movement, the control of vrittis. And that gradually leads to you to understand what lies in between the vrittis. Firebrand have a little rope, the type of rope that you can make it circular movement. Put a spark at the end of the rope and create the circle movement. From a distance, it will look like a circle of fire. So just like the circle of fire is illusion, same way all your experiences are circle of fire, vritti-based illusion. The whole world experience is that type of a firebrand. It's the motion of the Chitta that brings about the appearance of the world process. Chitta Spandan. The vibrations or waves arising out of the Chitta creates the illusion of the world process. If the Chitta were to be stopped, if these waves were to be stopped, Chitta Vritti Nirodha, this world process would cease to exist. Sri Rama asked, "O sage, what causes the Chitta to be in a state of motion? What should be done in order to stop its motion?" The question is, what causes the vrittis to continue to function? And what is the method of withdrawing all the vrittis? How am I to render my Chitta free of all vibrations and oscillations? another way, how am I to free the Chitta from the vrittis that bring about experience of the world process? Instead of Vishayakara vritti, how can I turn the Chitta to Brahmakara vritti? We are looking at the ocean and we are attending on wave after wave. That's like Vishayakara vritti. Looking at the ocean and your mind, you are creating a mental process that recognizes all these waves and all these multiplicities in the ocean are nothing but the ocean. Then that type of a sweeping movement that takes over, enfolds the world of illusion, that's called Brahmakara vritti. And you don't create it. As you advance, it is a spontaneous. As the mind begins to withdraw from Vishayakar, then mind becomes so calm that it does not create anything by waves. It allows the truth to be reflected in it. That movement of reflection is termed as Brahmakara vritti. If the vibrations were stopped, the Chitta would become pure consciousness. Chitta, overpowered by vrittis, thought waves. That's called Chitta, mind stuff. And same Chitta, void of thought waves, is pure consciousness. Chit, the Sanskrit word Chitta is mind stuff. Chit, pure consciousness. So turn your Chitta into Chit. That's the spiritual project. Conversely, if Chitta were controlled, the vibrations would be restricted. Now, controlling the Chitta and its vrittis is meant to go beyond all thought waves. Again, using the profounder terminology, vritti-based experiences is called bhava pratyaya. Perceptions that give you awareness of things of the world existing, bhava. And comes to a stage when the projections themselves completely stop. It's easier way to understand. A cinema show goes on as long as the projection movement goes on. That movement is called bhava pratyaya. Projection is creating the illusion of world existence. Now that projection is taken away. Pratyaya bhava, the whole awareness of perceptions is dumped completely. Then what is there? Screen, which is like pure consciousness. And mind plays this magic. Intuitive mind brings about pratyaya bhava and reveals the self. This being the case, the scriptures have enjoined two methods for destruction of Chitta. Yoga, which consists in controlling the thought waves of the Chitta, and practice of mastering the pranas and their fluctuations. And jnana, which consists of enlightening the Chitta through the practice of listening, reflection and meditation on the self. It's a broad classification. Raj Yoga movement of 8 limbs of yoga. That's first. Second, Jnana Yoga, which implies practice of Vedanta with listening, reflection, etc., and discovering I am Brahman. Raj Yoga and Jnana Yoga, they are supplement and complement. If you are progressing on Jnana Yoga, you will have greater success in Raj Yoga. If you are practicing Raj Yoga, you will have greater progress in Jnana Yoga. But Jnana is your goal. Sri Rama asked, O sage, how does a yogi control Prana and Apana in order to experience the boundless bliss of spiritual peace? Now, practitioner of Raj Yoga has many extensions. Hatha Yoga is an important extension of, say, Yama, Niyama, Asana. The Asana aspect and Pranayama aspect go into Hatha Yoga, Kundalini Yoga. All these yogas have their role to play. They help in your progress. And the very word Hatha Yoga, Hatha literally means being obstinate. But Hatha Yoga, based on the central root meaning, they relate to Prana and Apana. Ha is Prana. Prana brings nutrition. Apana throws out all that is like carbon dioxide type, all that is negative to your body. One brings in that you assimilate. Another throws out. That means things that you have in your body that are foreign matter, they are going to be thrown out. And they have deeper meaning. Prana, profound practice. You are bringing in the knowledge, I am Brahman. That's prana movement. Apana movement, we are throwing out this illusion, I am the body, the world is a reality, that being thrown out. And advanced state, Sushumna, prana flows through Pingala Nari, the right side of your spinal column. Apana flows called Ida Nari, the left side of your spinal column. Sushumna is the central channel of the spine. All this becomes, for beginner, it becomes easy, something to handle in daily life. Those who are advanced, and they are led to higher level of vichar gradually as your yoga practice succeeds. Those who are advanced, they don't need that. This prana apana movement automatically adjusts itself. You harmonize the prana and apana. The moment your mind develops a higher way of experiencing samadhi or a profounder view in a positive way. Understand that every state of mind is impacting on your pranic set. Positive mind, your pranas are now operating in a different way. They go into harmony to a certain degree. You're very joyous, a special type of flush of energy goes towards your face. The operation of prana. And a negative, immediately your whole face goes dark. Prana has been withdrawn. So the study of prana, apana and kundalini chakras are not, they are done in different ways. And of course, for the beginner, you follow the routine of asana, pranayams, etc. Sage Vasishtha explained, O Rama, just as water flows through 1,000 channels, in the same manner, the pranas flow through 1,000 nadis. And the prana is being very subtle. But prana creates flow of energy. And that energy flows through subtle channels. These channels are in your subtle body. And there are physical channels that respond to those subtle channels. All this complex study we'll find in Kundalini Yoga. And thus sustain health and vitality of the physical body. These nadis also function as the vehicles for the thoughts of the mind. When pranic set begins to operate in a harmonious way, subtler nadis become effective. When you have inspiring thoughts coming in your mind, at that time, subtler nadis begin to open up. It is not an ordinary just thoughts coming. It immediately brings about a change in your nervous system. How much, that will depend. The nadis also function as the vehicles of the thoughts of the mind. Let me give you a general plan. You start your pranayam. Pranayam is control of prana. But you don't start with controlling the prana, you start with your breath. Turn your finger to your nose. And bringing rhythm in your breathing process. In Sukhapurvak pranayam, you breathe in. Breathing in is purak. You are filling yourself with prana. It's breathing in. And then holding, retaining, and breathing out. It's like certain ratio is there, breathing in, retaining, you're breathing at 1:3:2. Don't make it very literal, but just giving you a simple understanding. You breathe in and you retain. When you retain a little longer. And when you breathe out, You let it flow with a little more ease than when you are breathing in. This simply, you are beginning the practice. The beginner thinks the breath is prana, but that's not prana. So if you think that if you were to retain your breath, you will have a lot of prana, they are completely wrong. But the rhythm allows the prana to become more harmonized within yourself. Which is like as if you are drawing, filling your body with special prana. So you start with breath, which impacts upon your prana. Prana is subtle. Prana impacts upon your mind. And that impacts upon the status of your soul. And soul in its highest state is Brahman. So breath, prana, mind, soul, Brahman. Started with the nose, and you don't know where you go. Pranas are controlled. Pranas are controlled by many pranayams. So any particular teaching you hear, don't get confused. The pranas are also controlled by taking recourse to the practice of rechak. Recha is the exhalation. After rechak, purak, inhalation, and retention, kumbhak. 3 stages. And some people even measure the distance. When you are breathing, how much distance you are covering through your nose. When a rechak is perfected by constant practice of yogic experiences, then what happens? Pranic fluctuations stop. This is likened to the sky freed of drifting clouds. When prana becomes calm, the sushumna begins to operate, and kundalini begins to pass through it. Then you are not focused on either ida or pingala, right nostril, left nostril, nothing. At that state, as if you are not even breathing. Breath flows with such harmony. But during that state, what becomes active? Experience of peace within your mind. Serenity. You go other way around. You don't have to practice pranayama, etc. If the mind has come to that state of peace, automatically your breathing process will calm down. And your prana will become harmonized within your personality. All this insight becomes helpful in sadhana movement. And with this I'm concluding. Om. And my prayer for all of you, may the divine grace shower karunamaya ras, the nectar of divine compassion on all who are under the trap of coronavirus. And I realize even if coronavirus moves away, You have mortality virus. So you need always Karunamaya Rasa of God. And that God is in your very heart. And more surprisingly, you are one with God. And that's the goal of life. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvargum Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Mamritam Gamaya Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Hari Om Tat Sat.